All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. If you've ever stared down a raw Linux terminal and felt kind of overwhelmed by the sheer wall of text it throws at you, well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to take what looks like an intimidating list of essential Linux commands and completely transform them into a practical, highly actionable toolkit. And we're doing this through the absolute magic of pipeline thinking. It's going to be a game changer. So we're going on a little raw to refined journey today. We'll quickly hit System and Network Recon, then move on to locating files and text, refining raw command output, and finally, wrap it all up with the power of pipelines. Section 1, System and Network Recon. Basically answering, who am I and where exactly am I? Okay, so when you first catch a shell and gain access to a system, you know the clock is ticking. You need a tactical playbook to figure out your surroundings instantly. First up, running IPA shows us the actual IP addresses attached to the machine. Then, step 2 maps out the routing table with IPR. Step 3, this one is massive. Running ss-tulnp reveals all the local listening ports, giving us a crystal clear picture of exactly what processes are running under the hood. And finally, checking the internal host names in etc hosts. Just like that, lateral movement opportunities that were hiding in plain sight are suddenly laid out right in front of us. Now, knowing the network is great and all, but knowing ourselves on the system, even better. Post-exploitation priority number 1 dictates you run the ID command first. Why? Because if you spot group memberships like Docker, disk, or sudo in there, you likely just found a blazing fast path right to root. We also want to grab the kernel version with uname-r, and of course, cat/etc/os-release spits out the exact distro details so we know exactly what kind of environment we're actually dealing with. Moving on to Section 2, locating files and text. Let's learn how to search like a pro. So now that we have our bearings, we got to find the needle in the haystack, right? We're hunting for credentials or vulnerable bits. Let's think about a real output from grep, which is literally the absolute search workhorse of Linux. Instead of manually scrolling through thousands of log lines, which, let's be honest, nobody has time for, we just tell grep to look specifically for the phrase failed password. And think about what that actual output looks like. It effortlessly pulls the exact intelligence we need straight out of the noise. We get the timestamp, we see the targeted user is root, and boom, there is the attacker's IP, 10.0.0.5. Just pure, actionable data. Now, if grep is for searching inside files, find is our go-to for locating the files themselves across the whole file system. And I want to highlight something absolutely crucial here, the -perm -4000 flag. Using this to search the root directory for SUID binaries is without a doubt your #1 privilege escalation vector. I mean, these files run with root permissions. You can also throw in -mtime -1 to track down files modified in just the last 24 hours. It's an incredible trick to see exactly what an attacker or a sloppy sysadmin might have just tampered with. All right, Section 3, refining raw command output, or as I like to call it, extracting the actual intelligence. We all know raw command output can be incredibly noisy. Seriously, it's just a wall of text. Take the raw etc password file, for example. It is a messy jumble of colons, X's, and zeros. But this is where it gets fun. By applying the cut command, specifically using a colon as a delimiter, to grab just that very first field, we instantly transform that chaotic mess into a pristine, single-column list of system usernames. Root, daemon, Kali. Exactly what we want and nothing we don't. Real output, real clean. Beyond just cutting text, we have the true Swiss Army knives of the terminal. Mastering tools like awk, sort, and uniq will honestly make you virtually unstoppable. Think about it. Awk is incredible for yanking out specific space-separated fields, like pulling just the IP addresses from a massive weblog. Then you have sort to organize all that data, either alphabetically or numerically. And uniq, it'll actually count duplicate occurrences for frequency analysis. But here's the secret. These tools don't actually reach their full potential until we start wiring them together. Which brings us right to our fourth and, honestly, most important section. The power of pipelines. Let's chain these commands together. Everything we've talked about so far becomes infinitely more powerful when we unlock the ultimate Linux superpower, piping and redirection. The whole concept here is that instead of running one command, highlighting the output, copying it, and pasting it into the next tool, you just feed the data directly through a pipe. We're taking individual, standalone commands and chaining them into a single, automated, incredibly slick workflow. Let's break down the essential operators that make this magic happen. You've got the vertical bar, that's our pipe, sending output from the left side straight into the input on the right. We can also redirect and save that output into files using the angle brackets. But the really fascinating operator, the one you absolutely need to remember, is 2 greater than dev/null. When you're searching an entire system, you're inevitably going to hit directories you just aren't allowed to read. This operator brilliantly tosses all those pesky permission-denied errors right into a black hole. It discards them entirely so they don't flood your terminal and hide your actual real results. Okay, let's actually build one of these out step by step to see a complex, real-world log analysis pipeline in action. Imagine you're looking at a log file with tens of thousands of entries. First, we cat the auth.log file. We pipe that right into grep to filter down to only the lines containing the word failed. Then we pipe that into awk to extract just the 11th field, which happens to be the source IP address. We pipe that raw list of IPs into sort to group them together, and then into uniq-c to count the login attempts per IP. Finally, we throw it through sort-rn to put the highest counts at the top and use head-10 to slice off just the top 10. In literally one single line of code, we took a massive noisy file and turned it into a pristine list of the top 10 attacking IP addresses. I mean, how cool is that? And that brings us to the ultimate philosophical takeaway from our source material today. The most valuable skill you can build right now is pipeline thinking. Every single time you get command output, you need to ask yourself, what do I actually need from this? When you fully embrace that mindset, a messy log file with 100,000 lines becomes 5 actionable IP addresses in a fraction of a second. It is literally the difference between drowning in an ocean of raw data and extracting precise, targeted intelligence. So, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. The next time you get command output on a terminal, don't just accept it as it is. Ask yourself, what's the actual intelligence hiding in here? Try piping it through grep, cut, awk, or sort until you've stripped away the noise and you're left with exactly what you need and absolutely nothing more. Are you ready to stop drowning in data and start building your own pipelines today? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and happy hunting.